She walked down the aisle in a borrowed dress while her family whispered behind her back. The man waiting for her at the altar drove a taxi for a living. Her friends called her foolish. Her relatives said she had lost her mind. Even strangers who heard the story shook their heads in pity. But she didn't care. Because while the world saw a poor taxi driver, she saw something they were all blind to. She saw a man with a heart of gold, a mind full of dreams, and hands willing to work until those dreams became reality. What she didn't know that day, as she held his rough, hard-working hands and said, "I do," was that the same people mocking her simple wedding would one day stand in silence, watching her walk beside him into a life they could only dream of. The taxi driver they laughed at would become the man they all respected. The marriage they called a mistake would become the greatest love story their city had ever seen. But before the victory came the struggle. Before the respect came the shame. And before the world bowed, she had to stand alone. This is the story of Jennifer and Parker. A story of love that refused to break. A story of faith that refused to die. A story that will remind you that character will always defeat cash, and patience will always defeat pride. Sit back, get comfortable, and let me take you on a journey that will touch your heart and change the way you see success forever. In the heart of Lagos, where the rich lived behind high gates and the poor hustled on dusty streets, there was a young woman named Jennifer Bailey. She was 26 years old, beautiful, educated, and came from a family that had everything. Her father, Mr. Bailey, was a senior government official. Her mother, Mrs. Bailey, hosted charity events and sat on the boards of 3 different organizations. They lived in a mansion in Victoria Island, one of the most expensive areas in the city. Jennifer had gone to the best schools. She wore designer clothes. She drove a brand new car her father bought for her 25th birthday. And everyone, absolutely everyone, expected her to marry someone from her world. A banker, a lawyer, a businessman, someone with money, status, and a bright future. But life has a way of surprising us, and Jennifer's surprise came on a rainy Tuesday afternoon when her car broke down on Lucky Eep Expressway. She stood by the roadside, drenched in rain, waving desperately at passing cars. But no one stopped. Mercedes drove past. Range Rovers drove past. Even other taxis drove past. Everyone was too busy, too important, too unbothered to help a stranded woman. Then a yellow taxi slowed down. It was old. The paint was fading. One of the side mirrors was cracked. But it stopped. The driver rolled down his window. His face was kind. His voice was gentle. "Miss, do you need help?" Jennifer looked at him, water dripping from her hair. "My car won't start. I don't know what's wrong with it." The driver didn't hesitate. He parked his taxi, stepped out into the rain, and walked over to her car. He opened the hood and checked the engine. His shirt got soaked. His shoes got muddy. But he didn't complain. After a few minutes, he closed the hood and wiped his hands on a cloth. "Your battery is dead," he said. "You need a jump start or a new battery." Jennifer's shoulders dropped. "I don't have tools. I don't even know where to get a battery at this time." The driver smiled gently. "Don't worry. I'll take you to a mechanic. Come sit in the taxi. You're getting sick in this rain." She hesitated. She had been taught not to trust strangers. But something about this man felt safe. She got into the taxi. He drove her to a nearby mechanic shop. He waited with her while the mechanic checked her car. He even helped her negotiate a fair price when the mechanic tried to cheat her. When everything was fixed, Jennifer realized she didn't have enough cash to pay both the mechanic and the taxi fare. She felt embarrassed. But before she could explain, the driver spoke. "It's okay. Pay me another day." Jennifer looked at him, shocked. "But you don't even know me." He shrugged. "I know you needed help. That's enough." She took his number. His name was Parker Watson. And from that day, something began that neither of them expected. A friendship. Then something deeper. Something real. Jennifer's family didn't know about Parker at first. She kept him a secret because she knew what they would say. But after 3 months of talking every day, meeting for lunch, taking long walks by the beach, she couldn't hide it anymore. She was falling in love with him. And he was falling in love with her. One Sunday evening, she brought him home to meet her parents. The moment he stepped out of his taxi wearing a clean but simple shirt and trousers, her mother's face changed. Her father's jaw tightened. Her cousin Lauren, who was visiting, whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Is this a joke?" The dinner was painful. Parker tried to be polite. He answered their questions respectfully. He thanked them for the food. But nothing he said mattered. Because in their eyes, he had already failed. He was a taxi driver. And that was unforgivable. After Parker left, the war began. Jennifer's mother stood in the middle of the living room, her voice shaking with anger. "A taxi driver, Jennifer? Have you lost your senses?" Jennifer stayed calm. "Mama, he's a good man." Her mother laughed bitterly. "A good man? What does that mean? Can he pay your rent? Can he buy you clothes? Can he take care of you the way you've been taken care of all your life?" "I don't need all of that, Mama. I just need someone who respects me." Her father walked in, his face cold as stone. "You will embarrass this family. People will laugh at us. Do you understand? They will say we couldn't even find a proper husband for our daughter." Jennifer's voice was steady. "Daddy, I love him." "Love?" Her father shook his head slowly. "Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't put food on the table. You think love will keep you happy when you're living in a one-room apartment, struggling to survive?" Jennifer stood up, her eyes filling with tears. "I would rather struggle with a man who treats me like a queen than live in luxury with a man who treats me like trash." Her mother gasped. "How dare you speak to your father like that?" Jennifer picked up her bag. "I'm going to marry him. With or without your blessing." The room went silent. Her father turned his back. Her mother covered her face. And Jennifer walked out of the house, knowing she might never be welcomed back. But she didn't care. Because for the first time in her life, she was choosing her own happiness. And that felt like freedom. She stood at the altar in a dress borrowed from her cousin. The flowers were from the roadside market. The cake was small. The guests were few. But her smile was real. Her name was Jennifer, and she was marrying a taxi driver named Parker. A man the world had already decided was not enough. In the back row, her cousin Lauren whispered loud enough for others to hear. "I can't believe she's doing this." "A taxi driver, really?" Her friend Sierra sat beside Lauren, shaking her head slowly. She could have done better. Much better. But Jennifer didn't hear them. Or maybe she did, but she didn't care. She looked at Parker standing before her, his hands slightly shaking, his eyes wet with tears he was trying to hold back. He wore a simple black suit. It was old, but it was clean. And when he smiled at her, the whole room disappeared. The pastor cleared his throat. "Do you, Parker Watson, take Jennifer Bailey to be your lawfully wedded wife?" Parker nodded quickly. Yes, I do." "And do you, Jennifer Bailey, take Parker Watson to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Jennifer didn't hesitate. "I do." Behind them, someone coughed. Someone else sighed. The room was filled with doubt. But Jennifer and Parker only saw each other. Parker's mother stood up from her seat, tears streaming down her face. She walked forward and hugged Jennifer tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for seeing my son the way I see him." Jennifer's younger brother Mike was the only one from her family who came. He sat in the front row, and when the ceremony ended, he hugged his sister. "I'm proud of you," he said quietly. "Don't let them break you." Jennifer nodded, holding back tears. "I won't." The reception was held at a small restaurant. 20 people attended. They ate jollof rice, fried chicken, and drank soft drinks. There was no champagne. No live band. No fancy decorations. But there was laughter. There was joy. And when Parker and Jennifer danced their first dance to an old love song playing from a phone speaker, everyone clapped. Sierra watched from the corner, whispering to Lauren. This is so sad. Look at this place. Look at this wedding. She's going to regret this. Lauren nodded. Give it 6 months. She come running back home, begging for forgiveness. But they were wrong. So very wrong. After the wedding, Parker and Jennifer went home to his one-room apartment in Surrey. The room was small. The bed took up most of the space. The kitchen was just a corner with a small stove and a basin. There was no dining table. No sofa. Just a plastic chair and a small wooden table. Jennifer stood in the doorway, looking around. For a moment, Parker felt ashamed. This was nothing like the mansion she grew up in. Nothing like the comfort she was used to. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I know it's not much. Jennifer turned to him, her eyes soft. It's perfect. You don't have to lie. She walked over and took his hands. Parker, I didn't marry you for a big house. I married you because you have a big heart. This room is enough. You are enough. Parker pulled her into his arms and held her tightly. And in that moment, in that tiny room that smelled of old paint and kerosene, they both felt richer than any millionaire. The first year of marriage was harder than Jennifer expected. Parker worked long hours, sometimes 16 hours a day. He left before sunrise and came home after midnight. His hands were always tired. His back always ached. But he never complained. Jennifer got a job as a receptionist at a small trading company. The pay was low, just 50,000 naira a month. But it helped. Together they managed. They ate simple meals. They saved every kobo. They didn't go out. They didn't buy new clothes. But they were happy. Or at least, Jennifer tried to be happy. Because the outside world wouldn't let her forget what she had left behind. One Saturday morning, she went to the market to buy vegetables. She ran into Sierra. Sierra was carrying shopping bags from expensive stores. Her hair was freshly done. Her nails were painted bright red. Jennifer! Sierra called out, loud enough for people around to hear. Oh my God, is that you? Jennifer smiled politely. Yes, it's me. How are you, Sierra? Sierra looked her up and down slowly, taking in her faded dress and worn-out slippers. I'm fine. But wow, you've changed. I'm still the same person. Sierra laughed. Are you? Because the Jennifer I knew would never be caught dead shopping in this kind of market. Jennifer's smile faded. Well, people change. Sierra stepped closer, her voice dropping to a fake whisper. How is married life? Is your husband treating you well? I mean, is he able to provide? Jennifer's hands tightened on her shopping bag. We're doing fine. Really? Sierra raised her eyebrows. Because you don't look fine. You've lost weight. Your skin looks dull. Are you eating well? I'm eating just fine, Sierra. Sierra touched her arm, her face full of fake concern. Look, Jennifer, I'm your friend. I care about you. And I just want to say, it's not too late. You can still leave him. You can come back home. Your parents will forgive you. No one will judge you. Everyone makes mistakes. Jennifer pulled her arm away. Parker is not a mistake. Are you sure? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're suffering. Jennifer looked Sierra straight in the eye. I'm not suffering. I'm building. There's a difference. Sierra blinked, confused. Building what? A life, a real life. Not one based on my father's money or people's opinions. A life built on love and hard work. Sierra stepped back, offended. Well, good luck with that. You're going to need it. She walked away, her heels clicking loudly on the pavement. Jennifer stood there for a moment, her heart pounding. She wanted to cry. But she didn't. She picked up her bag and went home. When Parker came home that night, exhausted and smelling of sweat, Jennifer hugged him tightly. What's wrong? He asked, worried. Nothing, she whispered. I just missed you. Parker held her close. He didn't know what had happened. But he knew his wife was hurting. And it broke his heart. But Parker was not just working. He was planning. Every night, after Jennifer fell asleep, he sat at the small wooden table with his old laptop. The laptop was slow. The screen flickered. But it worked. And Parker used it to study. He took free online courses in business management. He watched YouTube videos about logistics and transportation. He read articles about successful Nigerian entrepreneurs. He made notes in a small notebook he carried everywhere. He dreamed. He planned. And he refused to give up. One night, Jennifer woke up and saw him still sitting at the table. It was past 2 a.m. "Parker, come to bed," she said softly. He looked up, startled. "I'm coming. Just finishing something." She sat up, rubbing her eyes. "What are you doing every night? You barely sleep?" He closed the laptop slowly. "I'm learning, Jennifer. I'm trying to build something bigger than this. I don't want to be just a taxi driver forever." Her eyes softened. "You don't have to prove anything to me. I know. But I want to prove something to myself. I want to prove something to everyone who said I wasn't good enough for you." Jennifer got out of bed and walked over to him. She stood behind him and wrapped her arms around his shoulders. "You're already good enough." Parker reached up and held her hands. "Then I want to be even better." Months passed. Then something happened that would change everything. A new real estate development was being built on the outskirts of Lagos. It was massive. A whole new district with apartment buildings, shopping malls, and office complexes. Thousands of workers were needed. And those workers needed transportation. Reliable, organized, affordable transportation. Parker heard about it from another taxi driver at a fuel station. The man was complaining. "They say they need buses and taxis to move workers every day. But they want someone to coordinate everything. Who has time for that kind of stress?" Parker's ears perked up. "Coordinate? What do you mean?" The driver shrugged. "They want one person to manage all the transport. Schedule routes. Organize drivers. Make sure everyone gets to the site on time and back home safely. Too much work for too little pay, if you ask me." But Parker didn't see work. He saw opportunity. The next morning, he went to the construction site. The place was chaotic. Trucks were moving. Workers were shouting. Dust filled the air. Parker walked to the site office and asked to see the logistics manager. The secretary, a young woman with a bored expression, looked at him skeptically. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but I have a proposal that can save this company time and money." She sighed. "Everyone has a proposal. You'll have to wait." Parker sat down on a bench outside the office. He waited for 5 hours. People came and went. Some were let in immediately. Some were turned away. But Parker didn't move. He just waited. Finally, a man in a hard hat and a dirty shirt came out of the office. His name tag read, "Mr. Lauren, Logistics Coordinator." "You've been sitting here all day," Mr. Lauren said, looking at Parker curiously. "What do you want?" Parker stood up quickly. "Sir, my name is Parker Watson. I'm a taxi driver. I know this city inside out. I know every route, every shortcut, every traffic pattern. And I can organize transportation for your workers better than any company you'll hire." Mr. Lauren crossed his arms. "I've had 5 companies pitch to me this week. Big companies with fleets of buses and years of experience. Why should I listen to a taxi driver?" Parker didn't blink. "Because those big companies will charge you double and deliver half. They don't care about your workers. They just want your money. But I care. I'll make sure every worker gets here on time and goes home safely. And I'll do it cheaper and more efficiently than anyone else." Mr. Lawrence stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed. "You have guts." "I'll give you that." "I have more than guts, sir. I have a plan." Mr. Lawrence's laugh faded. "Show me." Parker reached into his bag and pulled out a folded paper. It was his plan. Handwritten in neat letters. It detailed everything. Pickup points, routes, timings, driver coordination. Cost estimates. He had worked on it for 3 weeks, staying up late every night after Jennifer fell asleep. Mr. Loren took the paper and read it slowly. His expression changed from skepticism to surprise to interest. When he finished, he looked up at Parker. "You wrote this yourself?" "Yes, sir." Mr. Loren folded the paper and handed it back. "Come back Monday morning. I'll give you a test run. If you can move 50 workers from Oshodi to this site and back without any problems, we'll talk contract." Parker's heart raced. "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." "You better not. Because if you mess this up, I'll make sure no construction company in Lagos ever hires you." Parker nodded. "Understood." That night, Parker told Jennifer everything. She listened with wide eyes, her hands covering her mouth. When he finished, she jumped up and hugged him so tightly he could barely breathe. "I'm so proud of you," she said, tears streaming down her face. Parker held her close. "It's just a test. I might fail." "You won't fail. I know you won't." But Parker was scared. Terrified, actually. Because this was his one chance. His only chance. If he messed this up, he would be back to square one. Worse than square one. That weekend, he worked like a man possessed. He called every taxi driver he knew. He explained the plan. He begged them to help him. Some said no. Some laughed at him. But 20 drivers said yes. 20 drivers willing to take a chance on him. Monday morning came. Parker woke up at 4 a.m. He got dressed. He kissed Jennifer goodbye. And he went to Oshodi to meet his drivers. They all showed up. All 20. Parker organized them quickly. He assigned routes. He gave clear instructions. And at exactly 6 a.m. they began picking up workers. Everything went smoothly. Workers were picked up on time. They arrived at the site on time. And at the end of the day, Parker made sure every single worker got home safely. Mr. Loren watched everything from his office window. And he was impressed. Very impressed. The next day, Mr. Loren called Parker into his office. "You did well. Better than I expected." Parker nodded respectfully. "Thank you, sir. I'm giving you a 6-month contract. Manage all worker transportation for this site. If you perform well, we'll extend it." Parker couldn't breathe for a moment. Then he found his voice. "Thank you, sir. I promise you won't regret this." Mr. Loren shook his hand firmly. "I'm counting on it." That contract changed everything. Parker no longer drove just one taxi. He managed a whole fleet. He hired drivers. He organized schedules. He solved problems. And he got paid more in 1 month than he used to make in 6 months of driving alone. Jennifer watched her husband transform. He was still humble. Still kind. But now there was something new in his eyes. Confidence, purpose, drive. Within 6 months, the contract was extended for another year. Then another. Parker's reputation grew. Other construction companies heard about him. They started calling. They wanted him to manage their transportation too. Parker didn't say no. He expanded. He bought more vehicles. Not just taxis anymore. Buses, vans, trucks. He hired more drivers. He trained them. He treated them well. And his business grew. By the end of the 2nd year, Parker registered his company officially. Watson Logistics Ltd. He rented a small office in Achaia. He hired a secretary and an accountant. And slowly, steadily, he built an empire. Jennifer cried the day they moved out of the one-room apartment. Not because she was sad, but because she was overwhelmed. They moved into a proper 2-bedroom flat in a decent neighborhood. It had a kitchen, a bathroom with hot water, a living room with space for a sofa. "Can you believe this?" Jennifer whispered, standing in the middle of their new living room. Parker stood beside her, his arm around her waist. "We did this. Together." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I never doubted you." "I know. That's why we're here." But success brought something else. Attention. Suddenly, People who had mocked them wanted to reconnect. People who had laughed at their wedding wanted to be friends again. Sierra called Jennifer one afternoon. Her voice was sweet, too sweet. Jennifer. Oh my God, I've been trying to reach you. I heard Parker is doing so well now. I'm so happy for you. Jennifer kept her voice calm. Thank you, Sierra. I always knew he had potential, you know. I always believed in him. Jennifer almost laughed. Really? Because I remember you telling me I was making the biggest mistake of my life. Silence. Then Sierra laughed nervously. Oh, that. I was just worried about you, that's all. You know how people talk. Yes, I do know. And you were one of them. Another silence. Well, I should go. But let's have lunch sometime, okay? Maybe, Jennifer said. Then she hung up. She didn't feel angry. She didn't even feel satisfied. She just felt tired. Tired of people who only valued you when you were successful. But Lauren was different. One Saturday morning, Lauren showed up at Jennifer's new flat. She stood at the door, looking uncomfortable. Can I come in? Lauren asked quietly. Jennifer hesitated, then stepped aside. Sure. Lauren walked in slowly, looking around at the nice furniture, the clean walls, the modern kitchen. She sat down on the sofa without saying anything. Finally, she spoke. I was wrong about him. About both of you. Jennifer sat across from her. Yes, you were. Lauren looked down at her hands. I judged him because he was a taxi driver. I thought money was all that mattered. But I was wrong. She looked up, tears in her eyes. My husband has money. Plenty of money. But he treats me like I'm worthless. He cheats on me. He lies to me. He doesn't respect me. She wiped her eyes. And I see how Parker looks at you. I see how he treats you. And I realize you made the right choice. Jennifer's heart softened. She moved to sit beside Lauren and held her hand. I'm sorry you're going through that. Lauren squeezed her hand. I'm sorry I mocked you. I'm sorry I laughed at your wedding. I was cruel and I was wrong. It's okay. I forgive you. Lauren hugged her tightly. Thank you. When Lauren left that day, Jennifer closed the door and leaned against it. She realized something important. Bitterness was heavy. Forgiveness was freeing. And she chose freedom. Parker didn't stop. He kept pushing. His company grew bigger. He won contracts with hospitals, schools, oil companies. He bought more buses. He opened a second office in Port Harcourt. Then a third in Abuja. By the third year, Watson Logistics was one of the most trusted transport companies in Nigeria. Parker employed over 200 people. He gave jobs to young men who, like him, had been struggling. He paid them fair wages. He treated them with dignity. And his company thrived. The world will always try to tell you who is worthy and who is not. They will measure people by bank accounts, job titles, family names, and social status. But true worth cannot be measured by those things. True worth is found in character, in kindness, in integrity, in humility, and in the quiet strength of a person who refuses to give up even when the whole world gives up on them. And remember this truth: the same people who laugh at you today will be the ones watching you in silence tomorrow. But by then, their applause won't matter. Because you'll already know your worth. You'll already understand that the only opinion that truly matters is the one held by the person standing beside you, fighting with you, believing in you when no one else does. My dear viewers, what lesson did you learn from this story? Share your thoughts in the comment section. I would really love to read from you. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you. God bless you.